As shows continue to leave Netflix, will the almighty DVD make a huge comeback? Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and this is actually what is this? This is a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray set of Season 2 of Netflix's Stranger Things 2. I got this for Christmas. It's kind of ironic that I'm using this as an example because this is a show that will clearly not leave Netflix. I just like it whenever Netflix releases one of their shows on disc, because especially if it's one that I like to buy it, because if Netflix, the service, ever went down, I still got it on disc, but I know there's no reason to open that right now, so it's going to stay that way. Maybe I'll do an unboxing video. I don't know. So anyway, that's kind of besides the point. I'm talking about this because I was having an interesting conversation with some people from church yesterday. I was talking about how Netflix seemed to be having a bit of a problem these days with convincing people that their service was truly worth it. And when they said what I meant by that, I told them there's not a whole lot of things that Netflix has made that has made a huge mark on the industry. Yes, when Kevin Spacey was in House of Cards, that was must-see television. And Orange is the New Black is still a very binge-worthy show, but Season 2 of Making a Murder really didn't catch on. Daredevil, which is apparently Netflix's 4th most watched show, got canceled after 3 seasons, and nobody so much as canceled their Netflix account. For that matter, Netflix bought the rights of Mowgli away from Warner Brothers, dropped it on the platform, and it's really kind of debatable whether or not it actually paid off for them. Like, if anyone really watched it, or if anyone's going to subscribe to Netflix just to watch a movie like Mowgli. I know that they put the Coen Brothers film, a new one that they did, on the service, and a lot of people don't even know it's there. And one of the best reviewed movies of the year, and my personal favorite movie of the year so far, Roma, is a movie that is actually not that great to watch on Netflix. That is a movie that is best seen in the theaters, which starts to bring up the point, what is Netflix actually contributing to culture? It seems kind of counterproductive to be having all of these shows and not having anything convincing people to stay with their app. And yet, when Friends is threatened to leave the platform, people actually canceled their Netflix accounts that day. And DVD sales for Friends actually went way up on Amazon. That, to me, says that Netflix has not actually provided much value to people outside of other people's content, and that can be a problem. And this article from BGR actually highlights what I'm talking about fairly well. It is called Prediction. As shows continue to leave Netflix, some people will return to DVDs. According to Andy Meek, next year is going to be pretty interesting for Netflix subscribers, to put it mildly. According to analytics from JumpShot, more than half of the streaming giant's 50 most popular shows are licensed from companies like NBC Universal and Warner Media that are planning to start streaming services of their own. That's potentially bad news for Netflix users who are also fans of its top licensed shows like The Office and Grey's Anatomy, which I love The Office, and I'm fairly neutral on Grey's Anatomy. I like it a little bit. Much more of an ER fan, though, which is on Hulu. And I've got all of that on DVD, too. Because since everyone from new streaming upstarts to industry stalwarts like Disney are planning to launch Netflix rivals in 2019, that means they might be inclined to yank their popular titles from Netflix. And if they don't, they'll no doubt charge Netflix a pretty penny to keep them there. And that is true. Again, $100 million to keep Friends on Netflix for a year. That is not chump change, even for Netflix. JumpShot also has this fascinating data point. The top 50 Netflix shows account for 42% of all Netflix viewing. Keep in mind, Netflix has hundreds of shows, whether they be for adults, kids, teens, or documentary fans on the site, and countless movies. And only 50 of them, a relatively small fraction of what's on the service, accounts for almost half of the viewership. That is pretty dangerous, especially if half of that or more isn't content they own. This is certainly a perennial story related to Netflix. The shows it licenses aren't guaranteed to stay there forever. When it comes to some of the most loved titles like The Office, there are countless social media posts from users threatening to desert Netflix en masse if the mockumentary series ever leaves the streamer. In response to all this, of course, Netflix is investing heavily in programming of its own, programming that it can keep forever as a counterweight of sorts to its licensed content that comes and goes. By the way, it helps that this is one of those shows, because that, I believe, is one of their breakout hits. You know what else will still be around, though, even after Netflix's rivals start pulling their titles as they're likely to do next year when the streaming landscape gets even more fractured? Your old DVDs. That's what. To be sure, we're not predicting that there's going to be some kind of massive surge in DVD buying or a wholesale resurgence of the format in response to these streaming movies, but it's a good bet that many people are going to, at a minimum, dust off that old box set of, say, Friends or The Office that they never got rid of. Another reason why is because with so many companies launching streaming services to rival Netflix, the average person is only going to want to be able to subscribe to a certain amount of these new services. Which, by the way, I am going to comment on something on this, because this is one area where Netflix could have a little bit of an edge. If Netflix can get shows like Stranger Things, like House of Cards, if they can get enough shows that people absolutely cannot live without, then yes, their service becomes must-have. Like, you have to have that service if you want to watch them. I mean, if Game of Thrones wasn't on Blu-ray, that would give people an incentive to always have HBO Go and never cancel it. Now, of course, this is risky, and there are some huge advantages Netflix would have by putting more of their stuff on discs, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, that's why if a particular show falls through the cracks and ends up with one of the services you don't pay for, a DVD or DVD box set could serve as a kind of stopgap. That's what it is. Stopgap. I don't know why I failed on that. In case you haven't bought any in a while, don't forget that you also get extra benefits and goodies when you do. Game of Thrones fans, for example, will no doubt be excited to own the DVD and Blu-ray box sets HBO is going to release next year after the final season airs, since it will include extras like a cast reunion interview. Quote, I never have to worry about losing access to my go-to favorites, Buffy, The Office, Veronica Mars, and most seasons of Friends, because I have them on DVD, wrote Ashley Rodriguez recently for Quartz. My disc copies will be there for me as long as I have a DVD player. My well-worn copies of Buffy sit proudly on my bookshelf, steps from my couch. Yes, changing the disc every few episodes is mildly annoying. The interface on the 2000-era box sets is archaic and requires navigating through a virtual graveyard, and is at least 3 menus of options before I can press play on an episode. But it's a small price to pay to watch my favorite shows whenever I want. And that is absolutely true. Is absolutely true. I have always had my personal favorite shows on DVD and Blu-ray in some form. This includes Cowboy Bebop, Sailor Moon, Cheers, Friends. I do like Friends. I also like Home Improvement, The Cosby Show, Roseanne, and of course countless movies, the Harry Potter series, the Disney movies. You know how many people I know who are stressing because they know that Netflix is losing the Disney animated movies, and they now have to sign up for a new subscription service, or else their kids are going to be very unhappy. Meanwhile, I buy every Disney movie that comes out. I always have, even the ones I don't like Home on the Range and Chicken Little. And yet, they are always there. I can watch them whenever I want, and I don't need Disney's streaming service. I have all the old Mickey, Pluto, Goofy, Donald Duck cartoons. I have many of the Disneyland episodes on DVD. This is where streaming can become a problem. Right now, people are generally happy with it because we've got a few options. We've got Netflix, and we've got for movies and classic TV shows. We have Hulu for current on-the-air TV shows. We have Crunchyroll if you're an anime fan, and Amazon Prime for, well, a little bit of everything, really. And 4 services isn't asking too much. It averages about $40 a month, but that's still more than half off when you factor in cable. But there have been other subscription services. There's now HBO Go. There is also CBS All Access. Warner Brothers is in fact prepping a streaming service, as is NBC Universal. And Disney will be providing a service. Keep in mind, these can cost you well over $100 a month by the time everything starts coming out. ESPN is getting a service. So what's going to be happening, I think people are going to be looking at the streaming sites. They're going to be looking at what original stuff is being made for those sites. They might subscribe to certain services when new seasons come up, and that will be a real measuring stick for which shows people really want to see. And I think for old classics, people are just going to go, you know what? I'd rather just buy the DVD and the Blu-ray and not have to worry about subscribing to all these services. Because here's the thing. Let's say you want Seinfeld. You want Friends. You want The Cosby Show. You want House. And you want Stranger Things. And they're all on different streaming services. You would probably rather spend the $200 or so to get all those shows that you know you will always come back to and rewatch, instead of continuously paying a streaming site a fee to watch them. I think streaming is going to change quite drastically, and this is one of the reasons why I say don't think streaming is killing anything. Discs still have very big value, and the more streaming there is, the more people are going to realize that. But I'm going to pass the question off to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree? Are you 100% streaming, or are you, I will keep my DVDs, they're going to have to pry them out of my cold, dead hands kind of person? Or are you somewhere in the middle? I would love to know. So comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.